So I'm sure by now we've all seen all this OceanGate stuff coming out and how these poor rich people have unfortunately, died. To some people, fortunately, because it's a pretty hilarious situation. And I don't want to be here to just celebrate people's deaths, but I do want to talk about instead of, all the reasons as to why it's been leading up to this and all that, since that whole topic's been talked to high heaven. I want to look at more of why people seem to find this whole situation so comedic. And overall, I think it's pretty obvious as to why this whole situation is funny to people. You have these super rich people dropping uh, this abhorrent amount of money on pretty much nothing. It's just a glorified museum wanting to go see the Titanic. Um, and in their own, like, pretty much their hubris of trying to look at, the Titanic, they end up paying for it with their lives. And you can't really feel too bad for them when it comes to them getting themselves in that situation. They at the very least should have known it wasn't safe at all, and they still decided that they would go on this ship anyways. The only real person I'm feeling bad for was the poor 19-year-old who went with his father because it was Father's Day, and he didn't feel safe on it, but he went anyways just to make his dad happy. I think that's like the saddest part of that whole story. But overall, I just want to look at, like, why do people find this whole situation so comedic, so funny, so memeable, and why there's such a lack of, empathy. And when it comes to that, you really have to look at, like, you know, the whole picture. If a bunch of normies like me were to be in that submarine or that submersible, would they have cared? Most likely not. They probably wouldn't have batted an eye. There might not have been a huge whole hoopla over it. Um, if not rich people were in that, if it was just like a team of just some people. If anything, I think if it were the same situations, but it wasn't a CEO making this, it wasn't super rich people in this submersible, all that stuff, I think people would be, at least the news would be pointing at the people going in that submarine as like, oh, they're stupid, they're silly, they're not smart at all. Why would they do this? Stinky, stupid boys, all that kind of stuff. Um, and so when you have what will be like a lack of empathy from one group of people, those group of people being, the rich and everything, why should we care about them back, right? If anything, they got themselves in this situation. It's hilarious. It's great. It's funny. So why not meme it to high hell, right? Um, and honestly, there's been a lot of really funny, like, TikToks, memes, everything. Lots of ironic jokes. It's great. I think it's quite hilarious. Do I still think it's uh great to celebrate someone's death? Maybe not. But at the same time, it's just like it's hard to have empathy for people with no empathy, especially when these rich people are like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll take all the money. All this wealth will trickle down." Yeah, don't worry, guys. We have so much oxygen. There's bound to be some that will trickle down.